now available on e-readers everywhere. From the author of the Simp Trilogy, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. Manginas, they look like men, but they act like ladies. And the misadventures of Captain Sable comes, Stop Simping in the Workplace. Learn what mistakes not to make with women and protect your job with Stop Simping in the Workplace. Available on e-readers everywhere. A couple of years ago, I wrote a blog called Ways Single Mothers Destroy Their Sons. And in that blog, I listed many of the ways single mothers pretty much set their sons down a road to dysfunction when they become adults. And I got a response to that blog from a woman who was married to a man who grew up in a single mother household. And she wrote to me telling me that her husband pretty much had a hard time getting close to her. And after she read the blog, she began to understand why her husband was having a hard time getting closer to her. Because when it comes down to guys who have been raised in single mother households, there is oftentimes a wall between themselves and their wives or their girlfriends. And these women pretty much can never really have the close, intimate relationship with these men, because these men oftentimes are still having relationships with their mothers and the woman that they imagine their girlfriend or their wife to be. And because there are two people in front of their wives or their girlfriends, they can never get close to this guy and have the relationship they want to have with this man. And when it comes down to your guy who grew up in a single mother household, one of the obstacles that keeps him from getting close to the woman in his life is his mother. Because oftentimes, when it comes down to your guy who's been raised in a single mother household, he has a very close relationship with his mother, oftentimes a too close relationship with his mother. And because he is seeing all women just like his mother, he doesn't understand that his relationship with his girlfriend or his wife is completely different than the relationship he would have with his mother. And that pretty much prevents him from connecting with his girlfriend or his wife in the way that they're supposed to. Because when it comes down to a mother-son relationship, as it gets older, oftentimes it turns into a codependent relationship, and that's a dysfunctional relationship. And that's the type of relationship he tries to have with his girlfriend. Now, a healthy man understands that his girlfriend is a separate person, and they have an interdependent relationship where they work together towards maintaining their relationship with each other. And in an interdependent relationship, both partners take responsibility for each other. Unfortunately, because this guy is too close to his mother, he oftentimes has a codependent relationship with his girlfriend, and he oftentimes expects her to do everything, and that leads to many women becoming frustrated and overwhelmed because they don't want to be forced to make all the decisions in the relationship, and they don't want to be forced to take all the responsibility in the relationship. So oftentimes when it comes down to women, when they're trying to have relationships with these guys, their mothers often create an emotional wall between the man and his girlfriend because they're still having a codependent relationship, and then he's still trying to have a codependent relationship with her, and that's what leads to a wall being formed between them. The other thing that pretty much prevents many women from getting closer to their boyfriends or their husbands if they came from single mother households has to do with the way he perceives women outside of his mother. Because when it comes down to this guy, he pretty much has not seen a healthy relationship modeled for him. And because he has not seen a healthy relationship modeled for him between men and women, he often gets many of his ideas about relationships from movies and television. And because he gets his ideas for romantic relationships from movies and television, he often sees women as fantasies. So when it comes down to this guy, he creates an emotional wall because he does not see the woman who he is dating or married to as an actual person. He sees the fantasy he has about that person, and he sees that person from that fantasy standpoint. So he does not see an actual person he's having a relationship with. And again, this creates an emotional wall between himself and that person that prevents them from getting closer to that person because he's not having a relationship with a real person. he's having a relationship with who he imagines the person to be. And that really can lead to people struggling to get closer to one another. And when it comes down to guys who grow up in single mother households, they often struggle the most with relationships because they don't know how to have a healthy relationship with a partner. The great irony is that many of these soft males who come from single mother households oftentimes want to have close relationships with women. Unfortunately, because of the way they are raised, they don't understand how to have a close, intimate relationship with a woman who is not their mother. And oftentimes, because of these emotional walls erected by their emotional attachment to their mothers and the imagined perception of a woman, their relationships often deteriorate. And they deteriorate because he is still having relationships with his mother and he's still having a relationship with an imaginary woman. And oftentimes, that imaginary woman, in many cases, often turns into a real affair because this guy feels like he's not getting closer to his partner, so he starts to try to seek relationships outside secretly with other women, or he'll go out and frequent things like pornography, or he'll go out and frequent prostitutes and strippers because he feels like he cannot get close to his partner, or his partner is showing him who she really is because he's pretty much still caught up in the fantasy idea of who this person is, and he wants to escape the reality of the real person he got involved with. And when it comes down to guys from single mother households, they oftentimes, these are the two things that prevent him from getting close to his partner. And he'll sit there and think that it's the woman that's the problem, and maybe in some cases she is part of the problem. But the really big problem is him and the way he was raised and the dysfunctional ideas he has about relationships. Because oftentimes, when it comes down to guys who come out of single mother households, the ideas and perceptions they have about relationships don't match reality, and because they don't see a real person, they can't make a real connection with someone, and oftentimes their partners struggle to deal with this guy because he's still in his head and he's not trying to get closer to the person and see who they truly are, because he doesn't see a real person. He sees what he imagines that person to be, and then once that image fades away and he sees the real person, that's when he wants to break away from the relationship. And after I read that comment, it really made me think about about the relationships guys from single mother households have with their girlfriends and their wives, and why they can't get close to them, because they are still in a relationship with someone else. And this is something I wanted the woman to understand, that he is still in a relationship with someone else, and it's those two people that are going to prevent this guy, or any guy from a single mother household in many cases, from getting closer to a woman that is his girlfriend or his wife and having the relationship that they should have and being the close couple they should actually be. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.